Hey everyone, and welcome back to Home with Marissa. I'm Marissa Jackson, and we are back in my daughter's room where we have already given it a fresh coat of paint, and today it is time to get this old carpet out. I feel confident in saying that this is probably the original carpet from 1978, so it is time for it to go. We have chosen to put in an engineered hardwood by Bruce Flooring that we got from Floor & Decor to match much better with the rest of the house that also has an engineered hardwood as well. The goal is to remove the carpet and take up all the tack strips that will be along the perimeter as well. And a few of the tools I'll be using: definitely a good face mask. This one has a respirator, some good solid work gloves, box cutter to cut the carpet into strips to make it more easy to remove from the house, and then some tape to tape up those rolls of carpet to try to keep it all together. My favorite pry bar to take up those tack strips along the perimeter as well. My two biggest pieces of advice when it comes to removing carpet: do wear really good equipment, especially a face mask, because you don't, number two, want to ever think about how much dust, dander, and dead skin cells is being harbored in this carpet that you're about to get up close and personal with. So let's get started. So I did want to kind of break down the process of removing carpet for anybody that may have never done it before, but you can do this yourself just to save some money instead of paying somebody else to do that. Most often I like to start in the corner, and you can typically just pull it right up and start to peel back. And before I go too much further, I will be putting a face mask on. There's so much dust that is coming up from this carpet being popped up, so please be sure to wear a face mask. But there's a few different components to your carpet. You most often will have an underlayment, and then you'll also have these tack strips that run the perimeter, and you do have to be a little careful with those because they're sharp, pointy tacks that are basically gripping onto your carpet, and that's what's holding it in place. I will be cutting this carpet with my box cutter down into strips. I'll be doing the same thing with this foam underlayment, and then I'll be using the pry bar to come back and get all of those tack strips up. So I'm gonna get my face mask on and let's get started. So next step is going to be inspecting your subfloors. This is the moment to see if any sections need to be replaced or kind of have some odors taken care of. That could be a possibility. And thankfully, I think while these floors have obviously been through some things, they're in decent enough condition that we're not going to have to replace any of the sections. So next step is going to be taking up the tack strips along the perimeter. And I did want to mention another piece of really good, important equipment. Could be getting some knee pads that have a hard cover on the outside. It's going to protect your knees because you're about to be on the ground quite a bit, especially when you start laying the flooring. So I'm going to get down on the perimeter with the crowbar and show you how to remove these tack strips. Found a vintage cigarette butt. That is probably the strangest thing I've ever found in old carpet. And I'm sure there's a story. It is okay that I will never know it. So just a friendly reminder to wear your gloves and your face mask and to keep your lungs clear. And let's keep going, and hopefully that's the only surprise we have. Okay, so it has been a very successful day. We have taken up all of our carpet, taken up that foam underlayment, as well as the tack strips around the perimeter. And then I went ahead and shop vacked everything up so that we can have a nice, smooth, clean surface to move on to our next step of laying our underlayment. This one is a pretty basic one from Home Depot called Robert's Air Guard. It's about 53 cents a square foot currently. But be sure to check your flooring just to see if you may or may not need an underlayment. Some of them do have them built in, or others need a specific type of underlayment. So just defer to the type of flooring you're using. This side will go face down, and then it has this flap that will connect all of our pieces together. So that bottom edge will go against our wall, and then we'll have a second piece along this edge. We'll peel this sticker back and cover it and seal it that way. So instead of a bunch of little pieces that can move around, we'll end up with one really large, just mat of underlayment. That way we can come on top and lay our boards relatively quickly, hopefully. So I'm gonna get this started and get this part knocked out as well. Okay, so I'm gonna bring this part that we cut down here with that beveled edge to sink in. So it will be here, line it up amongst our grooves. I usually like to do the long edge first and then kind of pull as much as I can into that groove there. And then we'll use the angled edge like that and make it flush along that line. And then get our block and make it flush along that line. And so that's how you complete a whole line, and then you just repeat into oblivion or until you're finished, whichever happens first. So we've got 3 down and a lot more to go, so stay tuned. Okay, so we are about halfway on this floor installation. It's been pretty simple. I've been really impressed with this product so far. It's my first time using an engineered hardwood, and thankfully with it being that interlocking and floating floor, not having to use an adhesive or any type of nails, it makes it pretty beginner friendly and also relatively simple to do just by yourself even. The hardest part for me is always having to contend with these little spacers that have a tendency to get wedged up underneath the baseboards. It makes things a little bit more difficult. My husband was able to help out a little bit yesterday, but I'm back doing it solo. So the goal is to get the flooring all laid and to start, if not finish, the quarter round trim as well. And I am definitely ready to get this project off of our to-do list, and we've got plenty of others that are happening now and that can happen once this is done. So let's get this knocked out. Okay, so you may have noticed a little bit of a time gap between these floors and then coming into the closet floors. And that is because I didn't record, and definitely not because no matter how many times I do it, I still embarrass myself trying to do measurements and cuts for transitioning into doorways. So I'll just share with you that in theory, it's super simple. You cut your floors to have that same sort of expansion gap for in between your baseboards. And then once you get to your door frame trim, usually you can use a multi-tool to trim that up. So that way your boards fit snugly underneath and create that really seamless look going up. And then do the same thing on the opposite side, because typically you don't put any quarter round on this door frame trim. And then you can continue laying your planks like normal. Just don't look too closely. Don't let anybody be too picky about your handiwork. It got done. You are going to have your own unique experience wrestling with that and trying to do calculations in your head. So good luck. You got it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Get it done well enough. So speaking of maybe some imperfections, the next step is going to be laying our quarter round, which is a beautiful way to cover any imperfections that may have happened with laying your planks out maybe some wider, narrower gapping between where your boards start or end and that baseboard. We'll run this along the entire perimeter, and that'll give it that really flawless, seamless look. That'll really make it look like a professional job, whether you did it yourself or not. So let's get that going and get another step down. When it comes to trim, there's a couple options. You can do a quarter round or something called a shoe molding, which is a slightly different shape. And they have anywhere from a range of different colors and materials. We decided to go with one that matched our floors as closely as possible. They do have some where you can stain them yourselves or just get them in a pure white if you have white baseboards. We don't, so we're sticking with that wood grain look. I'll be cutting the angles today on my miter saw. If you don't have a miter saw, they make these really cool cutting shears that are designed for trim, and they have angle guides to help you set your angles. My other tool I'll be using is going to be the nail gun, which we will just run finishing nails along the whole way, really set that all into place. So let's get started. And that is a wrap for our flooring installation. As you can see, it is a night and day difference from the dusty, stinky, nasty carpet to our new, nice and shiny floors. Installing your own flooring is a really great beginner project if you have the time and ability. It's something that you'll learn a lot as you go along, but you can also take a lot of pride in doing it yourself. So if this video is helpful at all, please like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.